Good Sunday morning. I'm Jaden Jefferson, and welcome to this week's Community Focus. Have you ever heard of Chicks for Charity? Well, if you haven't, you're in the right place, because on this week's show, I'm speaking with the founder and trustee of the organization, Martha Vetter. Here's our conversation. Before we dive into all the things that you guys do, first tell me about how you got the idea for Chicks for Charity and how it originated.
Oh, okay. Well, it happened a while ago. It was actually back in 2006. I used to own a marketing and public relations firm for 25 years. And back then, I had a friend who really needed to raise some money for a fund organization that she wanted to support. It was called the Furniture Bank. And what they did is they gave furniture to people. They'd get their Section 8 housing, which, they'd have a home, but they wouldn't have anything to put in the home. And so she went and got all sorts of used furniture, pots and pans, bedding, etc. And she set it up like a store. And then you could go in and pick out what you wanted. So instead of just being given something, you had the chance to actually pick what you wanted. It was a very respectful way to help. And they didn't have two nickels to rub together. And so we were brainstorming ways to help them at my firm. And we thought about maybe trying to get like 100 women to give $1,000. And a girl on my team said, I don't have $1,000. I don't have much money at all. And besides, nobody ever asked me to help. And that was like a huge light bulb moment of wait. Instead of going after a few women with a lot of money, why don't we ask all girls and women of all ages to do something fun to give back? And together we could make a really big difference in our community. And that was where the idea was born.
There are definitely a lot of youth involved. I know a few. And so talk about just the cross-generational appeal of this, because everyone from different generations is involved. And I think that's a really cool part of it.
It is a really cool part. And that's kind of a happy accident. So when we started the day of the first event, one of the moms who was involved, she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to make it today because I have childcare issues. And we're like, oh, shoot. And she had done so much to bring the whole thing together. And we're like, just bring your girls along. She had two little twins and she brought them along. We put little aprons on them. We gave them raffle tickets to sell. And Jaden, they sold way more raffle tickets than anybody else. It was awesome. And so the idea of having junior chicks was born, and we've had them ever since. And so we existed for 10 years between 2006 and 2017. And it was all just done. There's 35 girls at my office who soon became 1,900 girls and women all over the city, all over Northwest Ohio. And we raised more than $1 million in goods and services and different things for 7 different small charities in our community. And then when I sold my business back in 2017, the woman who bought it, she was really busy. She had a lot going on. She didn't really want chicks anymore, which is fine. I totally get that. So we were just kind of on hiatus for quite a while. And just this year we thought, you know what, we need to bring this back. So that's been us trying to bring it back, and having the junior chicks involved, as we've always called them, has been a huge part of it, because those young girls, they've learned so much. They give us so much joy. If you learn about philanthropy and giving back at a young age, you carry that with you for the rest of your life. And so it's just been one of the great, albeit happy accidents that came out of Chicks for Charity.
And it kind of speaks to the fact that it's kind of hard to say no to a kid, especially when it's their future on top of it too. So I think adults
Right.
can see that.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And every year or two, we pick a different charity to support, because it's never about raising the most money. It's inviting everybody to do a little something to give back, whether it's a lemonade stand or a soccer tournament in your backyard or some ladies having a wine tasting. It's never about how much you raise. It's just, if everybody just did a little bit, then wouldn't our community be so much better? So we pick these different charities, and then each time we pick, and each chick gets a vote on what charity we have. So that's always great too, because it's a democracy. But each time we bring in a new charity, then we get all sorts of new members too, across all sorts of different demographics. So you are right. We have really young kids. We have really old ladies with blue hair, mine too. We have black skin and brown skin and white people and gay people. We have so many different types, because it's just something that everybody can be involved in.
In the times that we're living in now, obviously everyone's wallet strained a little bit. But yeah, I mean, $1 can go so far when it's with $1 million other dollars when you put them
You
together.
got it. That's exactly the mission behind Chicks for Charity. So we love when a woman recently had a wine tasting in her house and she raised like $1,500 in a quick little 2 hour thing, which is wonderful. We love that. But just as much, we got a call from a girl that had a little fundraiser and she had $82. And that's just as important and just as wonderful. And we celebrate them all. We celebrate them all.
I'm sure a lot of these kids may end up continuing with this and going full time, and doing philanthropy.
Right. And we're really hopeful that that's the case, that you learn it now, whether you're a young 8-year-old or whether you're a young executive who's just getting their first real job, or you're a young busy mom, or whatever it is, that you learn it now. And then as you become older and wiser and perhaps have more money and more access to being able to give back and help, you've already learned all of that. So yeah, it's really been a wonderful thing. And I feel like the Junior Chicks part of it is the part that speaks to so many different people's souls and hearts because it's so adorable. But we have just as many older people also involved in really doing different things to give back. We have one lady, so she's like, I can't be a fundraiser. I can't do anything. She goes, but I like to swim. So for every mile I swim, I think she's giving us $5 for every mile she swims this summer. And it's up to like $200 that she's donating. So it can be all sorts of different things and different ages of people involved.
Yeah, and I guess you can get creative with how you do it too. I mean,
yeah.
Advice would you give to parents too? Because I'm sure they're maybe having the wheels turning and thinking about different ideas for their kids. What are some ways that people in Chicks have started?
Oh, there's been just such a variety. So we have that lady doing the swimming. We have a young girl who was at her brother's baseball tournament. She didn't really care to be at her brother's baseball tournament, so she took a little kit where you can make jewelry like bracelets, and she was making bracelets and even selling them to the other team. And she raised $148, I think it was. We have somebody doing a swim team. We have somebody with a swear jar at their house. Somebody their girls made lavender candles and sold them. Somebody's doing a talent show. There's just such a variety of different things. It's really whatever the moms, the daughters, the ladies, the girls, the buddies, whatever makes them happy is really what they should be doing. We try not to say, well, we do. And there's no bad idea. There's no bad idea. And if they want help in coming up with something, we're happy to brainstorm with them. But really, their ideas are always the best because they're so tuned in with what excites them and wants, what they want to do.
Moving on into the future for Chicks for Charity, what do you think that's going to look like?
Well, we are evolving a little bit. So before, when it was just run by my company, we weren't even a 501c3. So it was very rough and tumble. And now we're about to get our 501c3 certification. Knock on wood, that happens soon. But we'll be able to have a little bit more programming. So one of the things we want to do is we're going to have a Junior Chicks Advisory Council so that Junior Chicks can get involved in leadership positions and be more in charge of deciding the type of things that we do or they can do. We have something called the Cookie Jar Trust, and that's where we'll be able to give out micro grants to people in need in the community that are in dire need. Like it could be a neighbor whose house burned down, or somebody whose computer broke and now can't go to school, like just any variety of things. And the girls and women that sit on that committee, they're going to be the ones reviewing those little micro grants and making the decision on who gets what. So they get the experience even now of how hard it is to decide who gets something, but also the joy of giving back. They get the joy from the very beginning. And then we also have something called the $100 Chick Challenge, where we'll give some of the chicks just a $100 bill, and we just hand it to them. We only ask one thing, and that's that they give it away to somebody. They can give it to anybody they want. They can give it to a waitress. They can give it to somebody that's sitting by themselves at a McDonald's. They could put it in the yellow kettle or the red kettle jug if they wanted to. They could do whatever they want. And we only ask that they come back and tell us what they did, because those stories are so inspiring of what it feels like when you get a chance to give back and make a difference in somebody's life. So we're working on it all. There's a lot of ideas.
Yeah, I'm sure there are, especially when you have young minds, because they're always going. So I don't know if
yes, they are. You're right, Jaden. We're having a meeting this week with a bunch of moms and junior chicks and some school administrators to brainstorm how we can bring chicks into different schools and the Girl Scouts and things. So how we can make it even more accessible for younger girls to get involved.
And is there anything else you want to add or want people to know about Chicks for Charity?
It's a great organization. It's free. We're welcome to anybody to join. You just need to go to chicksforcharity.com and register. And we only ask one thing, and that is once a year, you do something fun, whatever that may be in your world, and you raise $50 or $100, and we give that to a local charity. This year, our charity is Hope Toledo, which I think you're probably familiar with. John Jones and his group do such great work. So all the money we raise this year will go to Hope. In fact, every penny that a chick raises goes 100% to Hope Toledo. We don't keep any of it. It all goes to them.
And that's this week's Community Focus. Thanks so much for watching and have a great week.